Okay, so what I thought I'd show you here is just some of the basics that I go through when I'm putting together an automation in ActiveCampaign. Um, some safeguards that help us to prevent duplications in terms of emails being sent, more than once, that sort of thing. Um, Initially, everything starts with some sort of trigger. Now, if you have more than one trigger, you can get duplications. You can get a contact entering, an automation multiple times, and that can end up, with all sorts of confusion and problems. So, what I tend to find is that if I keep it as simple as possible and try and just use one trigger when possible, it's not always possible. Sometimes you do need, different things to trigger an automation. But generally, if I can, I just use a tag. So if I want this automation, this sequence to be triggered, what I'll do is I'll add this tag to the previous sequence. Okay, so if you're thinking of this as being an extra sequence, an optional sequence, okay, so you could ask a question: if this happens, then add this tag, because at that point you want them to move into this other automation, or you may not, in which case they can go in another direction. Okay, let me just quickly show you what I mean by adding a tag to a previous automation, just so you've got a visual idea. So this is an automation which is basically sending a series of lessons, and then once it gets to the end here, so we have a question here which basically asks if a purchase has been made. Okay, so if the purchase has been made, then we can end the automation and that's it. Well, all is good. If we haven't, then we have this option of putting them into this additional automation. So that is where we add that trigger there. Okay. Something else we want to do here is we want to ensure that, as I mentioned before, to avoid duplications, contact going into an automation more than once. What I do is I add a tag here which basically says that this automation is active. So the name of this is level 1 review active. Okay, so that goes there. And then what we do here is we ask the question, which is basically, is that tag, is it present or not? So we go to tag exists. I have to make sure I get it exactly right. So it is best to copy it like that. So I'll do that again. Tag exists, and then paste that there. Okay, once you've added a tag like that, it will go into the system and the database, but it doesn't go in straight away. So, but next time, if I refresh this, then it'll probably be in. But see, all these tags come up here as you type them in. So let's see if this one's actually there. See, it's not there yet. So when you're first putting them in, best to copy and paste. Right, so we're asking if it's active, and then the tag itself has to go after asking that question. Okay, so to review, just to make sure we're clear here. Does this tag level 1 review active exist? Okay, if it doesn't exist, then we proceed. And then we add the tag, and then if someone enters this again, then they know that that they shouldn't enter, they should exit. And what happens there is we quite simply just go to, where is it now? End this automation. So then they'll just automatically exit. Okay. So once that's there, what we'll come to this later, but basically at the very end, we need to then remove this active tag again. So that's basically that. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we go straight to our first question. We're checking to see whether it's going to be whether we want to send the next email or not. Okay, so each one of these tags here represents a PDF download. So when a PDF is downloaded, this tag is added to that contact. Okay. So what we're asking here, there's three PDFs, 1 and 2 and 3. Okay. So we're asking here, are all these present? In other words, have they downloaded 1, 2, and 3? If one of these is not present, so for example, 1 is present, 3 is present, but 2 is not present, then we want to proceed. But if all 3 are present, then there's no need for us to send the next email. Oh, by the way, there are no branches here. I'm not going to go into detail about those because I just want to keep it simple and just show you the flow, because these could. But generally, what happens most of the time here is, if it's a no, we just skip the next point. And then you add a go to there. Okay, so there's the email there, so we're not sending that there, for example, so we just go on to the next question there, but I'm not going to do that at the moment. All right, so the next safeguard that I have is, before an email is sent, okay, I want to make sure that it's not been sent. Now, you can say to the system, has this been sent? But it might not always work. I mean, it should work, but you know, it might not always. And another thing is that this email, I might have this same email in another automation. Okay, so that can end up being confusing. It can end up a lot of extra work. So again, an extra safeguard is just to add a tag. So you can see, so you can see that a bit better, hopefully. So that's the name. It's just a draft at the moment, so don't worry too much about the name, but it's just we're using this name for the time being, E.1.7.1. Okay. So once that's been sent, we add the tag, which basically says that E.1.7.1 has been sent. And then again, just as before, it's simply a case of asking the question, is the tag present? So if the tag is present, E.1.7.1 has been sent. If this tag is present, then it will go to the no, and then we will skip this email. Just go onto the next question and then repeat it. Okay, so just to be clear here, we're asking, does the tag not exist? E.1.7.1 sent. Okay, which is this tag here. All right. So once that has been sent, this tag is then added. But if it's already been sent, then that indicates that we don't want to send this. So then we would skip it and move on to the next one there. And that's basically that. Just something to add here as well is the reason we use the tags as opposed to just asking, you know, if the email has been sent or not. Is referring back to what I was saying earlier. If an email such as this is sent in another automation, this tag there, we can have that same tag. So if we have this email been sent in this automation, for example, we don't have to have a separate tag. We can have that same tag. So whether this email has been sent in this automation or in this automation, it will still have that same tag. So it's less work because we only have to have the one tag and we only have to add that. So I can ask that question in this automation, and I can ask that question in this automation and any other automation basically, and it will check to see if the tag is present, and the tag will be present if this email has been sent in another automation. So I hope that makes sense. Okay, so that pretty much covers the basics in terms of what I do to prevent duplications and confusions. So to summarize, the main things that we covered here were preventing a user or a subscriber re-entering a automation. We do that by adding the automation active tag and then removing that tag as they leave the automation. Then when someone comes into the automation, we check to see if that tag is present. If the tag is present, then we exit the automation. If it's not present, then we're good to go and it continues. We check to see if an email has previously been sent, to see again if the tag is present that tells us that the email has been sent, whether it was in automation A or automation B. If the tag is present, then we skip over that particular email, so that email is not sent. And then lastly, we can check to see if it's relevant or not to send an email relative to whether someone has made a purchase or made a download. Again, these are indicated by tags that are added at the time of the purchase or the time of the download. If those particular tags are present, then we know not to send an email relevant to those products or downloads. So that's that. In the next video, I'll dig a big deep. I can't speak. Dip dip. In the next video, pull yourself together, Nick. In the next video, I will dig a bit deeper into the things that I do to set up the actual emails. So don't miss that. Cheers.